Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth, the Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by a really great crew tonight. George Eichhorn, welcome back to the broadcast.
Good to be part of it. Looking forward to it, Scott.
Jeremy Ballreck, glad he made it, even though he was an iffy game time decision, but glad he is on nonetheless.
Oh, happy to be here. Let's talk some sports. We got Denzel down here, looking like somebody that I should be picking up if I wasn't on paid time off.
I got news for you. JB Ellis, enjoy your time off. We're going to be working you harder when you get back, but Denzel Snipes would be more than happy to cut some slack with you tonight. JB, we miss you and look forward to having you on real soon. Denzel, thanks for filling in tonight.
Hey, not a problem. Pleasure to be back on.
And Jacob Christner, long time no see. It's only our third act this week, right?
About 30 seconds. And Denzel, I'm glad you're filling in with the bald man quota. So, it's like all you need is the backwards hat.
Yeah, I haven't had the backwards hat.
Hey, all right, yeah. Stone Cold Ball right.
All right, now before we get to the topics, I want to just let everybody know that the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of this Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a good guest? No problem. Come into the chat room. That's one way to do it. Other way is send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Want to advertise cost efficiently? Give me a call, 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter @TribuneSouth. Candy Hemling is behind the scenes, chat room, you name it. She's a superwoman, without a doubt, more ways than one. I don't know if she's related to Superman because I don't know if I'm it, but she's a superwoman nonetheless. And coming up later this summer, the Motor City Madmouth Show will be debuting on the Eagle Corp Media Studios in Boca Raton. I'll be co-host. My co-host will be Dr. Edwin Hernandez. We'll keep you posted. The Eagle Corp is a technology-based company, and I am the president of broadcasting for the Eagle Corp, their media studios division. Getting that out there. Dr. Edwin, enjoy your trip to Spain because I'm going to make sure that we have plenty. This guy travels every weekend, and then he usually comes back Tuesday. What a life! But he has to, he needs to travel because he has me in his ear all the time anyway. So I don't blame him for taking a few days off without having to hear from me anyways. I love the guy though; he's really great, and he's welcomed me and his company with open arms. And there's a lot of good things that are going to work simultaneously with Sideline Sports, South Florida Tribune, and every other affiliate what we have on. All right, well, have to get to this first topic without a doubt, and it involves disgraced sports doctor Larry Nassar stabbed multiple times in a penitentiary in Coleman, Florida. So, a penitentiary Coleman in Florida, in the back and in the chest, was convicted of sexually abusing female gymnasts, including Olympic medalist, while working at Michigan State. Pleaded guilty to child pornography. More than 100 women, including Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles. I'm not going to get into the money. It doesn't matter. Ingham County Judge Rosemarieaquila called him a monster in prison, like the Wicked Witch of the Wizard of Oz. He gets a 60-year sentence for child porn, 175 years total in prison. And then we have sexual charges, and he's involved with 156 women and gave victim impact statements. And you know what? The judge candidly said, I don't think so candid, okay, I just signed your death warrant. Aquilina said, 40-year sentence. Well, obviously, let's go back to what happened just a few years back. It took Subway pitchman Jaredfogel 2 years into his sentence in January 2017 to be beaten by Stevennigg, convicted sex offender. And obviously, Jaredfogel's due to be released in March of 2029. This one is loaded. I knew it would be. All right, George, in my opinion, are you surprised? And I guess the main question I'm going to ask each and every one of you is, how long will Larry Nassar last in prison? That's what I want to know. Let's not talk about the actual what took place, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you need any document, all you need to do is talk about Jeffrey Dahmer. But how long will Larry Nassar last in jail?
Yeah, it's a good question, Scott. He was really targeted. I guess he made some bad comments. They were watching Wimbledon together, I understand, a ladies' tennis tournament. A singles match. And he made some lewd comments. And supposedly, that's what I heard today, is that's what set this guy off. But the guy with him in prison, obviously, Larry's got a target on him. No question about it. What he did was despicable, horrible. And quite frankly, I don't know how he's going to be able to survive. I really don't. So, I mean, it's not fair, justice wise, to attack other people, but I'll tell you what, he's got a target on his back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he recovers from this one. I got a collapsed lung right now, still in the hospital, but of course they won't put it back with this guy in prison. But there are plenty others looking out trying to get him, I'm sure.
All right, I'm going to put this comment up. This one comes close to my heart. Once upon a time, she used to cut my hair, and she's a great woman. So hopefully not long. Hi, Scott. Sandy, love you very much, sweetheart. Don't you ever forget that. There you go. All right, that's what I have to say to you, Sandy. I still miss your haircuts, and I miss you even more. All right, with that said, okay, Jeremy, how long will he last?
Oh, so he's in the hospital with the collapsed lung right now, right?
Yep.
5 days after he's out, he'll get shanked in the shower.
Okay. 5 days long. All right. So you say 5 days?
5 days after he gets out of the hospital, he'll be shanked in the shower, because you know what? Guys in prison hate people that do anything with minors. If they're older, they usually don't make it very long because they can't defend themselves well.
Okay, Dennis, anxious to hear your comments on this.
Well, I can say, and I'm not here to say anything religious or anything like that, but it's a little something called karma and street justice. Now, after having been a correctional officer from 2016 to 2017 myself, Jeremy Ballreich is absolutely correct. Those guys in there do not take kindly to anyone who does things like that with minors. So I am going to go a little further on this one. I think when he comes out, they're gonna find some way to put him in some sort of segregation or solitary. But whenever he comes out of there, they'll be looking for him.
Jacob?
When I heard that news, I was like, oh, no. Anyway. But it's just like my favorite TV show in Britain. But, yeah. But not long. It's like you brought it up yourself, Denzel. You brought it up, Jeremy. The thing is, they don't like when you do it with minors. And another thing, I love an underrated one. Don't do anything to mom either. Remember, murderers and criminals in prison still have a mom and they still have kids. They might have had their whole thing. They still got that. Messing around with kids, oh my God. And this guy was so blatant about it. And then even better on the thing, he was doing lewd comments while he was watching the girls in Wimbledon, the young girls in Wimbledon. He's disgusting. So I'm not gonna be worried about what I would say. I mean, it should not take long. If there's justice, it should not take long. He's a piece of garbage.
Okay, Jeremy, comment. Go ahead.
All right. Brian Three Cushion, one of my fans, says my daughter was abused for 5 years before we found out. That's a shame, and it happens more often than people think, because a lot of women are embarrassed to come forward, and in the other way, there are a lot of men that are embarrassed to admit if it happens to them, if it's a woman that does it, especially if it's a woman that does it, because it makes them seem weak. It makes them seem little. There needs to be more awareness about this and more letting people know they can come forward without being belittled, without being picked on, without being bullied.
That's why I led with the topic. That's why I'm sorry, Jacob. That's why I led with this topic. You know, we talk about being a sports show. You know, while there's a fair amount of sports involved here, let's face it, we don't want to lose the human interest side of the whole thing. That Larry Nassar is a monster, and I don't think he's going to be very long either. I really don't. So I give him a year max if he's even that long. But even though you don't have the death penalty in Michigan and he's in Florida, I'm surprised he never even got the death penalty. But then again, he'll get it one way or the other. That's all I can say. So, but I guess Candy Ebling's going to say that he was attacked in Arizona before being transferred to Coleman. So
He was.
there you go.
And that's why he
There you
has
go.
the collapsed lung already. So
Right,
it's
well-
already happened once. They just didn't get to finish the job.
Right. Well, so he's got a bullseye in his chest. All right. Had to get to the topic. Glad I did. We're like pundits pundit in a lot of respects. We don't not afraid to talk about the tough subjects, and this is living proof of that. All right. Let's go on to the Summer League. Okay. Would you pay $96 for an NBA Summer League game in Las Vegas? That was the cost of the Spurs versus Hornets game featuring Victor Wembanyama's debut, who was shut down after 2 games. No coincidence that Spurs signed Gregpopovich to a new 5-year deal worth over $80 million, which means that the 74-year-old could be coaching until he's 79 years old. And by the way, okay, he's the oldest coach in the NBA. All right, George, well, number one, I'm asking you a $96 ticket when you cover these games.
I think you already know my answer, Scott.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, I wouldn't do it. There's a lot more other fun things I could do in Vegas with that $96, like taking a shot at a slot machine or a game of poker. But
Bunny Ranch. No.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it was a must-see kind of thing. If you're a real basketball fanatic and you really love the sport, yeah, they'll pay the $96. I just wouldn't do it, but there's people that'll do that to see him.
Jeremy,
I wouldn't pay $46 to see Wembanyama because guess what? He's a Spur. Just saying, I'm not a Spurs fan. That being said, I want to see if the Spurs make it to the playoffs on the backs of Wembanyama in the season, and then he gets hurt and has another team make a playoff run without him, because it already happened 2 of his 3 years in NFL Europe or NBA Europe.
that's okay. That's fair. Denzel.
Hell no. Listen, this is living proof that the further west you go, the more expensive it gets. All right. Like George, I can think of a ton of more things to do. Having been to Las Vegas myself 4 times, and I'm going back next year to cover the Super Bowl. I can think of a ton of more things to do that way. I mean, what was it? $96. I can spend that on the slot machines in McCarran International. So yeah, I'm not gonna throw it on a summer league game, even if it is Wembanyama. But then again, I also live right here in Houston. San Antonio is only 2 hours up the road, so I can just search for, if I wanted to see him that bad, I could just search for a cheap ticket for like $30-$40 and then drive to San Antonio and go see him.
And then pray to
Okay,
God
Jeremy.
he's not under load management. But anyway,
All right, so Jeremy, go to the chat first real quick.
Yeah.
Get some clarity about Brian. and then
Brian
I'll turn
Three
to
Cushion
Jacob.
said that the gentleman that did that, he was sentenced to 22 and a half years, 10 to 22 and a half years, and died in prison his 13th year.
There we go. So in other words, don't do it, or you're going to get the death penalty one way or the other. Okay, Jacob.
Are you kidding me? Let me say this. I'm going to take that $96 to the poker table and win. Because I can promise you, outside of, I'm just going to say that, I mean, those WSOP guys, there's going to be a lot of those guys in the poker table going to stand a chance against me. So I'm going to go clean that out, and then I'm going to go take 96, and that 96 is going to be more. And then after that, I think I might take the $9 from the other summer league game somewhere, and somewhere, and just like have fun watching the second half, have a hot dog. I mean, that's the whole thing. No, I'm not going to use that $96 for Wembanyama because I can watch 100,000 different games when he's really playing real players.
Well, I'm like George Eichhorn. If I don't get a credential, I'm not going. Next topic. Okay, the Guerreros are the first father and son duo to win the home run derby. Vladimir Jr. hit a finals record 25 bombs Monday in Seattle to defeat Randy Rosarena to win his title. His dad pulled the trick in 2007 at the Derby in San Francisco. The only problem with Vlad Guerrero Jr., he didn't have one left in order in the 3-2 National League win. All right, George, does a home run derby matter? I know it was fun, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. one more. But the accomplishment father-son, I think, is still pretty good.
That is a cool thing, obviously. Yeah, I mean, we've had other father and son combinations, but that was a cool thing to see him win. I mean, he's a really good player. Like I mentioned on 108 Stitches the other night, I was privileged to see Bobby Abreu, and he killed the ball at Comerica Park at the Home Run Derby in 2005 here in Detroit. And I happened to be there, and obviously it was a fun time to see that happen. So I like the Home Run Derby, but I'm concerned because I think a lot of the big names, are not going to want to do it. It's not as an attraction as it used to be, just like the NBA and guys not doing the slam dunk contest. I think baseball is going to have the same problem. Guys are tired, they're worn out, they want those days of rest. But in this case, yeah, I mean, it was a fun thing to watch.
All right, Jeremy, we got one of your peeps, and you know the drill.
All right, it is the Chicken Nugget King 586. That is his YouTube channel. He's a musician and podcaster. What's up, fellas? Chicken Nugget King here. And I'm going to tell you, if you have not tried the KFC chicken nuggets, you're doing yourself a disservice, Joseph.
It's really good. It is really good, actually.
And what is your other message to the Chicken Nugget King there, Jeremy?
If you want a chance to be one of the shows here on the South Florida Tribune, maybe go over to the South Florida Tribune channel and subscribe.
All right, there you go, Chicken McNugget King 586. You heard it from JB. I got a little bit tongue-tied there, but the hat still stays on. Please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We love it. All right, we'll try to get them. All right, Patty Grimes, what's up? What's up, Patty Grimes? You're up, sweetheart. Thanks for being on here. All right, Jeremy, let's talk about, what's up, Patty? Well, it goes either way, but okay, Mr. Patty Grimes. All right. This just goes to show you I've had my plenty of allotment of Diet Mountain Dew for the day, so give me a mulligan on that one. Okay, Jeremy, okay. What's your thoughts about the Guerreros family affair?
I think it's an amazing feat. I think the home run derby is getting a little bit overrated, and it's actually limiting the potential of more home runs later. Because look at who didn't do well in the home run derby last year and who ended up leading the league in home runs.
Right. Interesting point. Okay, Denz.
And we'll talk about this on Confidential. So I'm gonna go quick here, and I think that it is amazing that he joins his dad as the first father and son duo to win a derby. But I want everybody to keep in mind that this title was a long time coming for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I want everyone to keep in mind that in the 2019 Derby, he hit a home run derby record that still stands to this day, 91 home runs, and he lost. And
because
he lost
Josh Hamilton.
Yeah. So yeah, for this title, it was going to win it. It was just not a matter of if, but when. But props to him.
Jacob?
ESPN missed it too. He missed it too. They had said he was the second all-time Cuban behind, I forget which one. They didn't even they missed it that it was his father. Yeah, it's the third one because his father did it first and ESPN missed it. Then again, ESPN is the journalism, but Frank Reynolds was the subtlety. So, I mean, it's just true. It's just true. ESPN does not do journalism anyway. It's all show. It's all ridiculousness. And congratulations to them and stuff like that. But truthfully, I don't know if you're going to have 91 homers and lose. Why don't you just why don't you just see how many hit? Just let them all go. Don't do rounds, and then see how many go and see if you can get it. See if someone can nail it. Like do 3 rounds with everybody. Because 91 should have won that one too.
Well, all I can say is if ESPN didn't get Chuck Hughes, they're not going to get anything right. So go figure. All right. With that said, let's talk about some NFL news here. A report the New York Jets are going to be featured on Hard Knocks. The Detroit Lions turned them down, so they had to go after the drama king, Aaron Rodgers, and they forced the New York Jets on there. George, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, 2 things here. First, I was not surprised that Coach Campbell and the Lions turned them down. I mean, they did their thing last year. It was well received. It was great publicity for the Lions organization last year. The Jets, of course, they're going to go to try to get the Jets. I mean, with Rodgers changing teams, that didn't surprise me at all. The forcing part, hey, that doesn't surprise me either. I mean, they think they have a lot of sway, but you can only say no so often to these things when you're offered this spot or told you have to be part of it. Either way, but it's a fun thing, but it loosened up the Lions. people got across the nation got a chance to see the Lions, and so the Jets don't want to do it. It'll show through if they don't want to do it, but they are doing it, like you said, forced or not. Forced or not.
Jeremy, there's another one of your people who I believe is nice. Well, I don't know if he's subscribed or not, but if you
Raymond,
if you haven't, please do. Jeremy and I are going to take this thing to new things, and we got other things, and we hope you can come along for the ride. All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
Raymond Peterson, I'm not a basketball fan at all. Paid attention when the Pistons were doing the back-to-back thing end of the 80s. Moved from Michigan to San Antonio 12 years ago. Split fan. The Lions are my team. I know, and thank you for subscribing to my channel, but make sure you check out South Florida Tribune channel also.
There you go, Raymond. We appreciate you. Looking forward to having you on as a guest one of these days.
Chicken Nugget says I got you guys, no problem.
That is very kind of you to do that, Chicken. All right, I'll tell you, this is good stuff. Your people are really unbelievable, Jeremy. I'm proud of all your peeps. Go ahead, you get to read another one because of that.
Raymond Peterson, I was a big-time MLB fan until the strike in '94 or whenever. You don't even know any baseball player's name. Verlander and Miggy. That's about it. That's good enough.
Raymond's just counting down the amount of sports he's not watching.
Cabrera, fielder.
Raymond, I got news for you, partner. You're a hit right away. Get hold of Jeremy. We'll find a spot for you on Wednesday night. Just so you know, folks out there that are watching and listening, happens to be our rotating night where we bring on different people on here. So this is the right night for you to tune in, and you get to be with Smoking Jeremy B and the rest of us. So,
hey, Raymond, can you name any WNBA players?
Right. Hey, Jeremy, if it wasn't for like this show, with the mentioning of the outside of the move to San Antonio, with the mention of the I'm not a basketball fan, back-to-back Pistons 80, I would think that's Scott's burner account.
That is so funny. I love that, Den. All right, JB. This is what Denzel Snipes is doing while you're settling in the Midwest. But all right, JB, looking forward to getting you back. So, all right, Jeremy, let's go ahead and stay on point. All right, so give me your thoughts again on the Jets being featured on Hard Knocks.
Well, if you remember right, the Jets were the first ones asked by Hard Knocks to do it, and they said no. They went to another team that was in the top 15 for a draft pick. They said no. Then they said, well, let's go to the most watched team we've had since the inception of Hard Knocks. And they said, hey, Detroit Lions, you had so much success last year. You want to come back? And he's like, no.
Right.
They had the Bears on there too.
NFL, Roger Goodell and the NFL exec said, guess what? The Jets are it, because that's where my darling, Aaron Rodgers, went to play. He had trouble with management in Green Bay, and he went to New York.
There you go. That's plenty. All right, Denzel, take it from there.
Goodell was hoping that the Lions would turn this down. You know, the Lions was on there last year, and of course, you know, like George and Jeremy alluded to, they got the publicity and everything. But it's just like I said before the show, and this is the first time in 30-plus years we're going to say this, is that this season, that division is the Lions to lose. This season, they're going to be all business. So back to my first point in what I was saying, they were hoping that they were going to turn them down because, of course, they were going to go after Aaron Rodgers, the man that controls football media in any aspect, every aspect that's not college football, you know? So, of course, it was going to go to the Jets. Absolutely.
Well, think about it. Dan Campbell didn't have any national television appearances until the final one against Green Bay. I got enough of them now. Don't need Hard Knocks. End of story. All right, Jacob, unless you continue my thought.
Thank God, because the Bears were in that list too. No.
It's coming next year.
I know. It better be with somebody else because I do not want these fans having enjoyment. No. The thing is, I was so glad the Bears didn't get it because Fields doesn't need that distraction. He needs that work. He needs to put all that work in to get better with passing, to be able to make the throws he could not make. He needs to be able to get and stuff like that and to be able to move the ball down the field, learn this game. He needs to be able to get all this because he has the rushing record for the Bears. He has that. He has that momentum. He has momentum of the fans, unfortunately. He has all of that kind of situation. Now it needs to generate to wins. He's won 2 games in a row, once in 25 games. He needs to learn to win. He needs to get on that. He needs to get in that video room. He needs to do a pile of things. The last thing he needs is this show. So, and guess what? Here's the thing. If the Bears win, have at it with Denzel. I'm saying if they win and he learns it, he's earned it. But they don't need to be doing this. If they need to go with somebody else if it's going to be that way. But this is the worst time for the Bears to do it. When they need to win and they need to learn. If they start winning and they get it after, good for them. They're stars now anyway. You don't need this when you've got to win. Because all you're doing is making the Bears fans excited that want rock stars. They don't want wins.
And you know what? I'll say this much, and I get it. He needs to refine himself as a quarterback, but there's a reason why his nickname is Just Him Fields. Because it's only Justin Fields out there. That's it. He needs to study. He needs film room. He needs a team.
Yeah.
He needs a team. He needs him being a pro player. He doesn't need a bunch of junior leaguers around him because that's what's going on. I don't know if anybody has seen that the Bears have gotten, only 5 wins in the last 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Yet Fields somehow rushed for 1,000 yards, 1,000. He may rush for another 1,000. At what point do people, especially Bears fans, and I know you're with me on this one, at what point do Bears fans realize Fields ain't the problem?
And the thing is, here's the thing: the Bears fans are built on 2 different types. 2 different. They're either the ones that hate him and there's no reason to, or there's the ones that treat him like Michael Jackson and Taylor Swift had a baby. And it's like, and they do that, and they have that little deal, and it's like, and they want it like a rock star, and it's like Elvis, and he's swiveling his hips. That's how, and they give a bunch of 35-year-old Swifties out there. They treat it either way. Bears just need to pay attention, and they need to win. And by the way, you talked about the players. You're correct. Their coaching staff isn't much either.
Well, let me add this before we move on to the next subject, and that's this, okay? Aaron Rodgers, you've been causing a lot of drama anyway, so now Roger Goodell is saying you can cause some more on Hard Knocks. You owe me a payback, and guess what? You're getting it. And all I can tell you is Robert Saleh, we get to hear everything you want to hear about, and who knows, we might even get a peep out of Zach Wilson. Not much. All right, so it's called payback time. Aaron Rodgers, you gave us drama, and now Goodell's going to say you're going to give us more. Put on a good show. All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
I did hear for all of Hard Knocks, the players are not allowed to have their moms attend because of Zach Wilson.
Hey.
Okay. I like that. That was good.
Hey.
All right.
Hey, more from me then. No.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to stay on the signal caller theme, though, and I don't mean any Zach Wilsons. All right. Let's keep it there. We got a couple more. We might even be able to squeeze in a couple parting shots if everything goes on schedule the way it is. Let's not forget at the top of the hour confidential with Denzel Snipes and Jacob Krister will be taking us over to Sideline Sports. Go ahead. Anything else you want to add to this whole thing, Jacob?
Well, all I can say is congratulations, Jets. Enjoy the ratings. Enjoy it all. Thank God the Bears aren't. Now let's go focus.
All right. We'll stick to the signal caller theme, shall we? The rivalry between Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow and KCQB Pat Mahomes is going to get a whole lot more interesting. George Eichhorn, how much more interesting is it going to get?
Well, let's see if they can meet up again in the AFC Championship game next January. I mean, these 2 guys are the cream of the crop, and the AFC with all the young quarterbacks that they have in that conference. I tell you what, I don't mind. It's exciting football. I mean, they're 2 different guys, 2 different styles, 2 fabulous talents. They both are. So go at it, I say. I mean, Cincinnati is long overdue to win a Super Bowl, along with another team called Detroit. But no, I'm looking forward to the 2023 season. And these 2 guys, very, very much talented, far above the others in the AFC. They got a great future. So I like it. I like that competition between them.
Jeremy?
Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, you're talking about 2 of the best quarterbacks in the AFC right now. If Tua Tagovailoa could stay healthy for more than 8 games a season, he might be up there with them. Nice. But that being said, I don't think he's going to make it 5 this year after 3 concussions last year. Oh, wait a minute. Technically 2.
That's funny. Okay.
Denzel?
Anything else? I'm not sure if there's a joke somewhere along the way.
I know. There's a
I'm
long,
trying to see if there's
No.
anything I'm missing here.
It's
a long pause.
Okay,
No, it
long
was a
pause.
long
All right.
dramatic pause.
I'm trying to get a read on Ballreich here. But you're not, I'm not giving up the hat. Okay. So no matter how hard you keep pressing, it's not going to work. Give me your final thoughts on the subject while you don't have to hand signal. Or do you have any?
I think he was done.
I was done.
He was
Oh,
done.
okay.
I get my point.
He was done.
All right. Well, then he definitely he threw a curveball at me the day after the All-Star game. All right, Denzel, take it from there. And I'll go to the chat room. So
Swing and a miss for fans.
Ballreich can re-echo. Go ahead.
Although I knew Willie Clay wouldn't even, I was praying the Lions would give Michael Vick a chance to give the Lions what they really needed back then. Yes, he messed up, but he did his time.
Okay, let's.
Vick would have been killed in those days.
Let's continue the roll with the chat.
No, that's
room.
the same. That was the same comment. It just doubled.
Oh, he
doubled
repeated
it.
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's.
What about Lawrence under Peterson? I think he can get in the mix with Mahomes and Burrows. It could.
Yeah, I like that observation, Michael. Very good.
It could, and I will say only because of the division he plays in, and I say that as a Texan fan.
Michael Huck had another comment about the hard knocks too.
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars would be an interesting club. All right, go ahead, Dens. I think we stole your thunder there. Go ahead.
Oh, you're all good. You know what? There was the era of Roethlisberger, Breeze, Phil Rivers, and all of them. This Burrow Mahomes is the closest anyone in the next 15 to 20 years is going to get to Brady Manning. So they may as well get used to it. Now, you got these quick thinking nimwits at home that are going to be like, oh, he's trying to say Mahomes is Brady. Oh, he's trying to say Burrow is Manning. I'm not saying that, Nimrods, okay?
I am.
All I'm saying is you got two potentially great quarterbacks, highly talented. They have the potential. They both happen to be from the AFC. They happen to have this thing going for the next 10, at a minimum 10 seasons. Okay? Just sit back and enjoy the quarterback play. We thought that we'd never see another Brady Manning. I'm not saying, Mahomes is going to win 7 titles. I'm not saying Burrow's going to win 2 titles or vice versa, okay? Just enjoy the rivalry. That's it.
Jacob.
I agree.
It's better rivalry than Brady Manning because Brady beat the crap out of Manning more often than not.
But Manning owned him in the playoffs.
I understand, but but I'm saying by itself, it's more often than not. No one's owning anybody here. They've gotten their side. I mean, let's see. Truthfully, right now, Burrow's got a little bit over, but then Mahomes took the last one. But this is the thing. It's been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's what a rivalry is.
They're 3-3.
Guess what? He got him in the playoffs, but the Brady got. I'm just saying, Brady got him much more often than not. It doesn't mean the rivalry is based off of fans. It was based off of what the thing was. But as far as them head-to-head and do everything like that, there's no rivalry in comparison to this. These are back and forth, close, ridiculous games. This is what a rivalry is. That's why I get tired of hearing the Bears-Packers being a rivalry. It hadn't been one in 30 years. Rivalry is when you go back and forth. This is the best rivalry we've seen in 40 years.
Well, all I can tell you is the NFL would like to see more, keep them on their feet. That's even good. The one thing we can't lose sight of in this whole discussion is that Buffalo Bills are a heck of a football town, and they're breaking ground on a new stadium. And you know what? The Cincinnati Bengals are a heck of a football town as well. And remember how the generosity between the two franchises took place with the Damar Hamlin situation. So there's a lot of good karma between the franchises, and this only adds to it. It really,
here's
really
one
does.
big thing too. One of those two, especially with Andy Reid retiring eventually, especially when it's Mike Brown, one of those two are going to join each other's division. There's the thing in the next 3 or 4 years. And then you're really going to get a rivalry because you get 2 games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, last topic of the night. Can Dak Prescott get Dallas over the hump? George Eichhorn.
He hasn't so far. Every year, waiting and waiting and waiting. There's just something about him that either injury-wise or some
He thinks that's hilarious.
misfortune. they play the games, and he can't win the big ones. I say no. I like him. He's a good quarterback, but I'm not convinced they can get over the hump, Scott. I mean, I haven't seen it happen so far, so I'm going to say no. At least for this coming season, I don't see him doing it.
Neither does Brian Cushion. He says no too. All right, before we turn over to Jeremy, you're my designated voice. Lions go 11-6, take the division, maybe the Super Bowl. Raymond, I'm sure a lot of people on this panel hope you're right. That's all I'll say about it. So, all right, go ahead, Jeremy. I stole your chat. You get to say it. What you want?
Dak Cousins, the guy that fails in prime time in the playoffs. Oh,
Yeah,
that's Kirk
right.
Cousins. I'm sorry, but Dak hasn't been much better. He's got 2 playoff wins and an eternity of losses. He's got a great regular season record. He ends up throwing more interceptions than he should, which cost them the games they do lose. And not handing the ball to the ref on a quarterback sneak that got you a first down that would have stopped the clock if you'd have handed it to the ref. That's what cost that game. It wasn't the draw play. It was what he did. He specifically cost the Cowboys that game.
Denzel?
Man, it's like whenever you asked, I was like, is this Def Comedy Jam? Is this K-Locos or something? Let me tell you something. And this is so unfair to say because I like Dak Prescott. I do. Think he's got a hell of an arm. He's talented. He's come a long way since his rookie year. But no, he's not going to get them over the hump. But not for the reasons that Jeremy Ballreich said. I do agree that he needs to do a little bit more. But mainly the reason why they won't is because of the old man that sits at the top of the tower. That's why the Cowboys ain't going to do nothing.
Bingo. See,
Okay.
Denzel and I talked about this. I had this, remember, I had this on one of my single things, like the 5%. I said this about Jerry Jones. Dallas will never, ever, ever win another one with Jerry Jones because he's not the Jerry Jones that was the oil wildcatter. The oil wildcatter won 3 rings. The oil wildcatter mind won 3 rings. The one that had the guts to go on the golf course to go fire Tom Landry won 3 games. With 3 Super Bowls, excuse me. He had the guts to do all that. He doesn't have that anymore. He made all his money. He wants to keep making money and not lose any. It's going to take losing money and have some guts to win a Super Bowl. He's not going to. As far as Dak Prescott, he's Kirk Cousins with the clothing game. He doesn't have his wife dressing him.
Okay. Well, those are fair comments. All I can tell you is we're going to find out how good Dak Prescott is without Kellen Moore. We'll have this discussion after the season.
Wait till you see Justin Herbert.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, first of all, yeah, Raymond Peterson, you can rest. Oh, I like this guy's comment here. And Raymond, if you haven't subscribed, please do it. Okay, the Lions been rebuilding since 57, the year I was born. The last time they won the championship. By the way, Raymond, why don't you look at the date that they won it? And it happens to be my birthday 5 years before I was born on that day. And I always be a firm believer that you can do a word association and date association. So Raymond Peterson, you fall under the GMTA. What does that stand for? Great minds think alike. If you subscribe, you might end up being a guest, and that's one way to get you on a whole lot faster. All right.
Scott was celebrating that day.
There you go. I don't know where I know where
I celebrated. I was 1 year old and sitting on my dad's lap listening to that game on radio.
Hey.
All right, so
I know
ahead,
where I
Jeremy.
was, but I wasn't existent. I wasn't even a tickle.
See?
Yeah. All right, Jeremy. Well, you can
You still aren't.
tap into this comment here. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Brian 3 Cushion. I love it when McCarthy gets pissed at his team because he rants and raves. Yeah, you know who he reminds me of when he starts ranting and raving? Dennis Green.
Yep.
Yeah, right. He was
We let him off the hook.
They are who we thought they were.
Jim Moore had a pretty good one too. And of course, a guy that I despise that says we play to win the game. I don't want to get this thing out of control. So we play to win the game, but I don't even want to mention that guy's name because he didn't know Chuck Hughes died either. So forget that stuff.
Herm Edwards.
All right. We actually have time to do some parting shots. So George, you have any?
Yeah, I want to send get well wishes to our friend Dick Vitale. Dick received some not so good news today from his doctor. He is going to have to take radiation for his throat cancer. And Dickie V, we're behind you 110%. And I know you're a fighter. You're determined to get back into the games on ESPN, on college basketball, and we're pulling for you, buddy. We loved you here in Detroit when you were here, and get well, my friend.
And by the way, George, don't forget, Dick Vitale was on before we did Sports Talk.
That's right. And Scott and I were part of that, and we got to know Dick real well. Yep,
yeah,
thanks,
we did.
Scott.
And I've gotten to see Dick Vitale over in Sarasota, truly one of the nicest guys. And, I'm going to say my parting shot before I get to them, because it's related to you, George. The ESPYs were about Dick Vitale being there. Now with the most recent layoffs of 20, I tell you one thing I think about the ESPYs, I don't care. You keep laying off good people. You're laying off people that were very loyal. I don't know about you guys, but loyalty is a big thing of what I am. So the ESPYs have no meaning to me whatsoever. ESPN, I know you reward people for plays, but here's the deal. They get paid to make those plays. So let's not overemphasize an award made for plays. But as far as the Jimmy Valvano V Foundation, Dick Vitale is a big proponent. I don't normally buy souvenirs and autographs, but the only reason I did for the V Foundation is I did it for Vitale, and my money went directly towards cancer research for the V Foundation. That's why I want to get mine ahead of you, Jeremy. So go ahead.
My parting shot. When does Aaron Rodgers get traded for Kirk Cousins?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because it's going to happen. Because you cannot have a defense lose 4 All-Pros and have a 5th one that wants to lead the team and expect a team with rookies and has-beens to be any better without those 4 All-Pros. You cannot expect it. So what does that mean? There's going to be a lot less one-score wins out of that team this year. You know what they were last year? They were the 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, Denzel.
My parting shot is actually going to be a bit of an advertisement. So, as you all may have seen at the beginning of Pundit's Pundit, and that is Jacob Christner's Pundit Views is going to be coming to an end at the end of the month. It's going to be replaced by another show. Now, here's that other show. Is as much as, and you may have seen 4 versions of Ask Jake Anything Pro Wrestling Edition. Well, it's finally being parlayed into a show coming in August on Sideline Sports Network, August 2023. The Pundit and the Sniper presents Top Rope Talk. This is all pro wrestling all the time. WWE, AEW, pay-per-views, indie, you name it. So enjoy the last of Pundit Views. And then in August, right in time for WWE SummerSlam, tune in to the Sniper and the Pundit's Top Rope Talk.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you what. There you go. When I'm not stealing Jacob Christner for our shows, although I'll make sure I do it after yours, because Jacob Christner is becoming a Jeremy Ballreck and a George Eichhorn. He's all over our planet.
Do I have to shave my head?
No.
And you have to actually grow facial hair.
It actually has a hair, so you better leave it alone.
We like your gray hair, Jacob.
Good.
Yeah, Jacob has a degree of
Bill.
Pat Riley in him with all that hair, but obviously not the wet look. Okay, Jacob, give me your parting shots. We know we got to get you over to confidential, but go ahead.
Well, this is the unusual one because I'm going to be talking about the Colorado Rockies for a second. This is the thing. I would love to be the GM of this team. This is myself because I love the challenge of this. This is the first thing I would absolutely do. Goodbye to everyone with any contract at all. Trade it all. Go get the numbers. Go get the amount of picks that you can get out of it. I mean, my team is going to be. I'm going to play like the fat guy off of Moneyball. I'm going to go find every hustler and every person you can get over there that wants to play hard and see. And there will be on that thing maybe a couple of Crash Davises from Bull Durham. The guys with like 20 or 25 wins of games in their career. Hustle. I'm going to go get them. I'm going to give them the veterans. I'm going to get all that. Then we're going to find out who wants it. Then build. I am practically going to have a $10 million budget. Period. End of story. And I would do that type of thing. Start it completely over. And I don't care if I break the 40 and 120. Because here's the reason why I say this. A team like Colorado has that stadium. They have that stadium where you can hit home runs at will. If they're good, they get players like a Shohei Ohtani. They get the Aaron Judges if they're good. because you can get 70 home runs in that stadium. You can get to that thing. I would want to build that because this is a garbage team right now. Just make it more garbage. Build and build, because then later on you can get the big time starts, because that stadium says it all. Then you can go get a real team. So that's what I would absolutely do. I hope I don't think the GM or the owner, I don't think McCronkey's watching, but boy, that is a challenge that I would want.
Okay, well, we got to get you over to Confidential. So with that said, we'll let you continue the narrative. We also want to thank Denzel Snipes for being on as well. I know he's a last-minute addition, taking JB Ellis' place tonight, so we appreciate him coming on. Well, then again, I know Jacob had to go as well, so we are down to 3. So with that said, now there are down to 3. And go ahead there, Jeremy.
I wanted to add on to what Jacob said. As the GM, not only do you gut all the contracts, all you got to go is for a bunch of 240 hitters that hit about 20 home runs a year. They'll double that production in Colorado.
Okay. Very good. Well, I want to thank Jacob Christner and Denzel Snipes for their participation in the show, let alone everybody in the chat room. So with that particular said, okay, I'll give you your parting shot. Go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. I had my parting shot.
Okay, George.
I'm all set. It's been a great show. Enjoyed it so much tonight, and the guys are doing a great job.
All right, George. Well, you really haven't had your parting shot or parting comment because you have a book to talk about, don't you?
Yes. And Scott alluded to it earlier. We've been broadcasting and doing media here in Metro Detroit and Scott in South Florida for a long, long time. I put together a little book to remember the sportscasters and sports writers here in the Detroit and Michigan area called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. There's a link to purchase the book at the end of my column. I write like Jeremy does for the South Florida Tribune, and Scott does, and so many other good writers in the Motor City Tribune. You'll find a tag at the end of my column to order yourself a copy of the book. Scott interviewed Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors, two of my all-time favorite guys. And you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com or find me here at South Florida Tribune on many of shows that Scott and Jeremy are part of too.
All right, Jeremy, I know you have a lot to talk about, so go ahead.
All right. I write for the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you can find me under the list of authors such as Scott Morganroth and George Highcorn. You can also find me on my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions, where I do my Wednesday show, the NFL Roundtable Talks, and a Friday show, Lions Fan Cave Chat. But that's only through the offseason. Once the regular season starts, it's 5 days a week, an hour to 2 hours a day. And then you can also find me on the South Florida Tribune channel. Any night Scott needs me, I'm here, including when we start up our show again, The Professor and the Pupil, on Sundays at 10 a.m.
Yeah, we will be starting it up soon. Obviously, I was a little tired out on Sunday, but I've got actually some guests that I'm actually working on lining up for it as well now, since I've had a little break. And I'll continue to work to make that show as good as I know that we can end up doing. I want to also thank Brian Cushion for participating. Raymond Peterson, you were outstanding. Jeremy, I'll get a hold of you. So, and the rest of you guys. So Jeremy knows how to get a hold of you. There's a future spotlight up on Wednesday night. Before we end the show, though, just to let everybody know, the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the show, the Sports Exchange, can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube. South Florida Tribune, we're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? We got a bunch of people out there that found out ways to do it. Participate in the chat room. Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Our Twitter information is at Tribune South. Candy Hedling's behind the scenes wherever we need her. Coming up later this summer, the Motor City Mad Mouse show will be debuting on the Eagle Court Media Studios in Boca Raton. My new co-host is Dr. Edwin Hernandez. We're going to be bringing a lot of guests in there as well, so we'll keep you posted. The Eagle Corp is a technology-based company for which I am now the president of broadcasting, and a late hello from Ralph Williams. Thank you very much for chiming in, Ralph. We appreciate you getting in there with us. So great show by the two of you, and of course Denzel and Jacob very much. They're here when we need them, as well as Sideline Sports. They are a great partner to work with. So On behalf of Denzel Snipes, Jacob Christner, George Eichhorn, and Jeremy Ballreich, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth the Motor City Madball. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange, and we will catch you the next time. Everybody have a great weekend.